Good evening, friends. It's the Gandork here, aka Nick, aka Judge Nick. Here, back from a week off. I was judging Gen Con past weekend and didn't get a video in last week, but I'm back with another Gandork Builds video. Recap Gen Con was fun. I had a great time judging all three of the large events. I'm a little disappointed we didn't see a lot of new stuff. There was just a lot of Bobas and Sabines. But we did get some. We had Kira's welcome to the game party, and we got to see a few interesting things like George Hudson on his Hondo list, which was really cool to see. Him do well. Got to see some old decks with new twists, like the Mono Han, coming through with the tech DJ, the tech DJ tech. I don't know. Good to see that coming through. I was surprised we didn't see a lot of Rays. Since Rays seemed to be really popular, heading up to Gen Con, just a few. None of them did very well, but overall, I think people aren't comfortable enough with the set 2 leaders yet, and I hope to rectify that a bit today with this deck build. Today, I'll be building what I think is the aggro list of the set 2 meta that people just aren't talking about. People know about it, it's not getting talked about. I think it's a lot. It's really good. And that is the Kylo Cunning aggro deck. So that's what we'll be building today. I do think we just saw the KTOD, Bobby Sapphire, Mike Gem did the, top 3 decks of the meta just came out yesterday. And he had mentioned it was Kira, Boba, Sabine and Sabine was the aggro deck of the Trinity. I think that's wrong. I think there's a 4th deck that is the actual aggro deck of the meta, and that's this Kylo Cunning deck. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into building the deck. And I'll kind of show you how it goes. We're going to start with Kylo. Kylo is a really interesting leader. He flips at 4, like Sabine, so obviously he's kind of an aggro leader. He has an ability where we can discard a card from our hand to give a unit +2/+0 this phase. It's very action intensive, but it's if Surprise Strike, you had to pay 2 to give a unit +3 in attack at the same time. This is a card that's essentially free for +2. So it's very action. It has a high action cost, but it's very efficient damage wise to spend a card for +2. He is a force unit, which I don't think is really going to be relevant in the deck that we build with him. And then on his other side, he has the drawback of he's a 5/4, but he gets -1 power for each card that we have in our hand. So there's a couple ways we can approach this. You can just approach it in that I'm going to try to use his ability to empty my hand and play kind of an on-curve deck. But the way that we're going to be using it today is we're going to play a weenie rush, essentially. We're going to play a lot of 1-drops that are going to make it really easy to empty our hand. And in order to give us more 1-drops, I don't want to stick in mono. I want to get a second color in here. And we're going to go with the second best aggro color in yellow. Sabine gets to get away with Sabine green, but green it doesn't add as many, I think, aggro units to the list as what you can find in yellow, even though it does have some cool effects like, Rebel Assault. But here, if we go into yellow, we're getting stuff like Greedo, we're getting stuff like Dr. Evazan, we're getting stuff like Surprise Strikes, Jetpacks, and we're getting access to Hotshot DL44, it gives us a lot of really nice aggro cards. I am picking Jeddah City, and I will say I think Jeddah City is very, very good in this archetype of the Weenie Rush. And you'll see why as we start building it out. But this deck's, it's going to be, we're going to have a Weenie Rush, but it's also going to get a lot of its damage from Kylo when he flips and Toro Calican combos. which in both of those cases, being able to -4 an opponent's unit or do a little bit of unit control to like clear the way for your combo damage is going to pay dividends. And that's kind of where Jeddah City pays off. Like, unlike, a Sabine aggro deck where they're kind of like aggroing on curve and they're not necessarily hoping for like a big combo. This deck, it wants to find a way to like keep the board clear and play into some combo cards. So yeah, without further ado, all the ado, I keep giving it. Let's start adding some cards to the deck. We're going to be looking at a lot of 1-cost units. I would say first off, let's talk about, I said we're going to go Toro Calican combo, and what do we need for Toro Calican? We need him. I'm going to add him. This is going to be a different way of building a deck. So we're going to like build from our core combos. We need Toro Calican. And his trick is whenever you play another bounty hunter, you can deal damage to it. And if you do ready this unit, you can use this ability only once each round. Why Toro is cool with Kylo is because Kylo's action ability gives Toro +2 power for the phase, which means it's a way to pump him for all the potential readies you can get when you play other bounty hunters. So with that in mind, we want some cheap bounty hunters. We'll pretty much want every 1-cost bounty hunter that exists. So if we go down the list, Dengar, we're not going to be playing upgrades or bounties on opponents' units, but a 1-cost 2/2 bounty hunter is exactly what we need to ready Toro. Similarly, the Bounty Guild Initiate. It's a 1-cost 1/2. If we control another bounty hunter, we do 2 damage to a ground unit, which is fine, but mostly he is a way to ready Toro. Also, we have our buddy Greedo, who's not the best option because he doesn't live. But in a pinch, we can play Greedo and kill him, get his one defeated, and ready Toro. So there, we have 3, 6, 9 different bounty hunters there. But I don't think we have to stop there because obviously there's another bounty hunter that's just really good in yellow that you probably always want to play. It's harder to combo with things, but we need our boy Boba Fett in here, the Disintegrator. So here we have like our core of our Toro combo. Some decks might try to Toro combo with Kylo by like going into bigger, like Forlom Zuckuss. This deck is, I'm going to get all my low stuff because I want to try to hit that round 3 where I like discard Kylo to buff it, maybe get a Hotshot Blaster on Toro, and then have the 1 resource to ready and swing twice with Toro. Speaking of which, we want upgrades for Toro. Like, what upgrades are good to help him combo out? I've mentioned it multiple times, but the Hotshot DL44 is kind of perfect because we can smuggle it out for 3. So on that 4 resource turn, we can smuggle this out onto Toro and attack at the same time, and then have 1 resource left over from one of these 1-drops. Additionally, one that's good on both Kylo or Toro, so we gotta have the Fallen Lightsaber. Fallen Lightsaber is absolutely brutal in this deck. You're not always going to have the Toro for the combo, so sometimes you're just going to like want to flip Kylo out and just load him up and start beating down with like a huge Kylo. And yeah, your Kylo with a Fallen Lightsaber as a force unit on 4 becomes a force to be reckoned with, as he becomes however 5 to 8 damage, probably 5 to 8 power with 7 health, and he's pinging all the ground units for 1 every time he attacks. And then it also, on those Toro turns, it also costs 3. We have to have it in our hand, but it costs 3 like the Hotshot. And yeah, that's the biggest combo that this deck can do, is you get the Toro with the lightsaber to make him 6, you do the Kylo to make him 8, and then you have a 1-cost bounty hunter to swing twice for 8. That's 16 on round 3. And then if your Kylo's 4 or 5, you're looking at 20, 21 damage on round 3, which is fast. Sabine wishes she was this fast. Another upgrade that I really like, that doesn't necessarily combo with Toro on curve, but it still can combo and keep him alive later, is the Jetpack. You can still usually you're going to end up resourcing jetpacks if you get them early, right? Because they're smuggle. Sometimes you can keep one in hand to play on Toro for the combo turn. kind of like how you play a lightsaber, and it's a smaller, buff, but the shield can kind of still protect your Toro for the combo out turns. I think that's like the 3 upgrades that you really want for the combo, like to help combo out and just apply extra damage. So from there, it's about filling out the rest of what we want to play. I like making this deck like Weenie Rush. It helps empty the hand for Kylo's ability, so he comes out for full power. So I want to look at a lot of 1-cost units that we're going to include in here. I like Benthic just because he actually packs the most potential attack for a 1-cost, possibly bringing 4 attack with 2 health, and that's 1 more than a Death Star Stormtrooper. So I definitely want 3 of those. I'm going to have enough red things to pump between even our leader himself, and I'm going to play some Death Star Stormtroopers as well, just because it's so efficient. Looking down, let's see. We got the Guavian Antagonizer. This one's kind of, I don't hate it. I don't love it. It is kind of a 2-drop statted body for 1. I could see us playing 2 or 3 of these. Going down, the Kinton Intimidator. Now, this is one a lot of people might overlook, but I actually really, really, really like Kinton Intimidator in this deck. And let me tell you why. So, we want to combo out and protect our Toros and our Kylos. Kinton Intimidator is a really unassuming 1-drop that gives us options to protect our cards that are going to do more work. Additionally to that, he's kind of like R2-D2 in that, his 1/4, that 4 health body makes your opponent kind of ignore trying to deal with him because it's just mathematically kind of annoying. And they go, oh, he's only got 1 power anyway. And that also leaves him open to be targets of things like Hotshot DL44, or even him with a Fallen Lightsaber later, or even him with Sneak Attack or Surprise Strike to get through for the damage. So I really like Kenton, and I'm going to get 3 in here. Going down, Reckless Gunslinger is kind of perfect. I think, so one thing that Sabine has is the For a Cause I Believe In to get that reach damage to the base. We don't have anything quite as good as that, but we can get close if we include 3 Reckless Gunslingers, and let's put the 3 Daring Raids in there. So Daring Raid, 1 cost 2 damage to a unit or base event. We can get to a point where we can spend 3 to smuggle a Reckless Gunslinger, do 1 damage to both base. Daring Raid for 4, and you're getting 3 damage to their base for 4 resources and 1 card in hand, which isn't as efficient as For a Cause I Believe In, but we don't have access to that, so this kind of gives us some options there. Looking at further units, I don't know if there's anything else that we're super excited about getting in at 1 cost. Cantina Braggart, the 0 attack on the crackback, not ideal. I just think the other stuff we have in here is better. We're starting to run out of card slots anyway. Let's look down. Yeah. Jawa Scavenger. I think we're just doing better with, I would play more Guavian Antagonizers over Scavengers. Lady Proxima. We do have a lot of Underworld, but again, I don't want a 0 that can't crack back or attack anything. Mining Guild Tie is not aggro-y. McClunky is 2 defense. This might be maybe some sort of weird sideboard card. In fact, I'll put one in here and move it to the sideboard. But I don't think we McClunky main, just because it's not doing what we want to be doing. But I don't think there's any more 1-drop units. Looking at 2-drops, I mentioned him at the top, but one of the best 2-drop units in aggro right now in the game is Dr. Evazan. And I've seen a lot of people shy away from Dr. Evazan because of that bounty, they're so worried about it. But let me tell you, this is the perfect deck for Dr. Evazan, because I'm going to end this game round 3 or 4. I'm angling to just get this game over with before I'll even care about what you do with readying your resources. If I make an opponent that's on blue, which everyone's always worried about, the blue cards versus Dr. Evazan, if I make them waste a takedown on Dr. Evazan and not have it for Kylo, who's going to get a fallen lightsaber, or Toro, who's going to combo out, that is a net win most of the time. Like, I don't care what 2 cards they get to play that turn, potentially. Apart from that, like in the other aggro matchups, like the aggro mirrors, like versus Sabine, like Dr. Evazan can just like keep their early Sabine board like relatively clear and like pave your path to combo out and just winning faster than him anyway, because Dr. Evazan's coming down and killing, maybe killing 2 things or more, 3 things with Jeddah City, just because he's so huge. So yeah, Dr. Evazan's in here. I'm not going to be sad about that at all. More attack tricks. I talked about it, but we definitely want Surprise Strike in here. Almost forgot the Kylo's right hand card, Kylo's TIE Silencer. It's going to be our only space unit. Funny enough, we might put some lurking TIE Phantoms in the side, or maybe I don't know if necessarily we need a main. But Kylo's TIE Silencer. If you're going to pitch a card to him, maybe you'll pitch a card that you can play out. Not super like. It's a good card. Like, it's just a solidly good card. I don't think you have to. You're always going to be like playing towards pitching it and playing it, depending on how the cards go. Because obviously, like, you don't have a huge space force, and even on top of that, like, you can't hotshot, jetpack, or fallen lightsaber the TIE Silencer, and it's not going to do as much damage as Toro or Kylo with a saber. So. But you have the synergy. Let's use the synergy. Let's get it in there. And then, last, like I said, we need Surprise Strikes in here. That's a staple yellow card. So here's what we're looking at our deck list. We're at exactly 50. We've got 3 Benthics, 3 Bounty Guild, Initiates, 3 Death Star Stormtroopers, 3 Dengars, 3 Greedos, 2 Guavians, 3 Kittens, 3 Reckless. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... times 3, 21, 22, 23 1-drops in the deck. Math-wise, I should be letting us play 2 1-drops round 1 a very high percentage of the time. If we're not doing that, we're dropping Dr. Evazan round 1. I do like the 2 1-drops round 1 versus blue decks because it plays around Power of the Dark Side very well. And then heading into round 2, maybe you drop 2 more things, but like our best plays, we want to see Toro probably hit the play round 2. If we don't see Toro hit the play, maybe we hit play round 2. Maybe we're pitching a Kylo, playing 1-drop, getting the Kylo back, and doing some damage. And then, round 3 is going to be about the Toro combo, and then round 4 is just combat tricks until we win. What matchups might be a pain for this that we want in our sideboard? I can tell you what, this deck is faster than Sabine. Sabine is probably not a matchup you need to care about a whole lot. I think we'll be looking at some of the mid-range matches that we need to have answers for. So, like, one good side card here is probably the Lurking TIE Phantom. I think there could be an argument to try to play them main, but I think side is fine, so I'm just going to put them in the side here. They come in. I don't know if you necessarily need them versus hard aggro, that they could come in versus hard aggro. There's probably some mid-range matches where you just want to threaten more space and possibly just a big space unit if they commit to trying to control your ground way too much. Let's think of what are some other cards that we might think about in here. I like No Good to Me Deads. Like, I think there's like an answer of like, do you want some Voltron hate? Like, and No Good to Me Dead, we don't need for like big leaders because we're probably going to win before that point. But if we do go against like, oh, hey, we're going to see a Sabine deck and she's going to try to Darksaber, we could try to play Disabling Fang Fighter. But I think like that costs 3, and I think for 2, we're more than happy just to take Sabine out with a Darksaber for 2 rounds, and we can probably win the game in that time. Another thing that I don't have in here that's definitely a strong consideration is Force Choke. Particularly when you flip. It's one of the strengths of when you flip Kylo. He is a force unit on 4 resources, so Force Chokes you can play out for 1. So you can kind of come out and clear out the board. Might be something that you do if you are going against a deck that's playing like a lot of 4-drop Sentinels. Maybe things like Childsons. You can try to force choke for cheap to get like through their big health pool, without having to waste too many units running into it. Let's see, what was the other unit that I need, or card I need to put on the side? I'm at 53 main. Fallen, Surprise Strike, Ruthless, Toro, Boba, Evazan, Kenton. This is my count just off. Let's save. And open the edit. Where? Oh yeah, they're no gonna be deads. So I don't know. This might be like, maybe I try switching around like, two McClunkies. I think McClunky could come in versus like if you see a Bosk deck. Bosk decks are kind of outside popular. McClunky is kind of like a tech card in those matchups because he might try to come in and oh, I see your Dengar, or your Greedo, or your Boba, like, or even your Evazan. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna load up some of my bounties for my hand on it. I'm gonna give him guild target, or top target, or something really annoying. McClunky could possibly be an interesting out to help control those. So anyway, I think this is a solid deck. Let's go ahead and look at the deck image here. Save those changes. Whatcha? There he is. So I forgot to name him. But he's Brown Homelander. Seems vaguely racist. Anyway, this is the list. As clickbaity as it sounds, I think this deck has a spot in the meta. I've been playing variations and honing this deck for like the past couple weeks since I got back from Gen Con, and this deck tears stuff up. It's like one of the like realest aggro decks I think I've played through the first two sets of SWU. Stuff like Sabine, where it's trying to get into like 4, 5, 6 drops in some cases. ECLing like big units to like ambush into the opponent's units. Like, yeah, it's aggressively slanted, but like those are some defensively, they're defensively chosen, like they're mid-range plays to me. So like Sabine is going less all out aggro. This deck is just all gas. Like, it is faster than Sabine. You will try to win games round 3, heading into the first few actions of round 4, or at least putting you in a position where you have the game on lockdown. I really recommend trying this at your locals. Bring it to your next event. Give it a shot. I think this deck is poised to start shocking some people. But yeah, that said, give it a try. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.